Annette Schiebout is a traveler, a teacher, and a freelance writer. She is an active member of Twin Cities Art Scene, participating in literary performances including Talking Image Connection, Cracked Walnut, and singing with the Prairie Fire Lady Choir. I'm kind of the Prairie Fire Lady Choir, this one's really nice. And Goth Mom. She is a recipient of the Loft Literary Center Creative Nonfiction Mentor Program 2014-15, Honorable Mention 2011, and an Intermediate Arts SACE Writer to Writer Mentee 2009. She is published in RPS and OBL. Hope I pronounced that right. Her poetry film, A Short History of My Addictions, received an Audience Choice Award at the Co-Kisser Poetry and Film Festival in 2012. She received her MFA from Hamline University. She lives in Minneapolis. Please welcome Annette Schiebout.
Thanks, Dana. Thanks for inviting me. I'm one of them not in the book yet, not in the almanac, and I'm not writing about St. Paul, so I'm sorry that I broke the rules there. What I'm going to read tonight is, I just finished a memoir, and it's called The Geography of Scars, Navigating the Weight of Loss and Healing. So I'm going to read a chapter here for you. And I think it will make sense on its own. Essentially, in 2007, I had gastric bypass surgery, and the book basically documents that decision and a lot of surgeries that followed. And the chapter that I'm going to read tonight is, or the chapters I'm going to read tonight are about dating after surgery. Every time someone asks me, "Wow, you look great. How much weight have you lost?" I always respond, "I've lost a few pounds." The truth is that it's more than a few. At this point, it's 150. That's another person. It's 4/7 of the space that my body used to occupy. I've never liked math, but I still have 50 more pounds to lose. And 50 plus 150 equals 200, and 200 plus 180 is a big number. It's a number that most people don't know how to add up to. Most people don't understand how many years it takes to reach such a large number. Most people don't understand what it's like to be that hungry. Can I ask you a question? Wayne asked me one evening while we were sitting on his couch, his fingers exploring my right arm. Sure. Did you have that surgery? Yeah. Although there are hundreds of other surgeries he could have been referring to, I knew the one. That gastric bypass whatever thing? Yeah, I did. Wayne and I met several months ago, at least 50 pounds ago. We hung out, went out, made out several times before I decided to take a 2.5-month trip around the world. I enjoyed his company, but was quite sure he wasn't the man I was going to marry. However, he was attractive, and for the most part, kind. He was a companion. That changed on our last date before my trip. We were at one of those horrible suburban chain bars, drinking cheap wine and getting to know each other better, when I asked, "Hey, did I tell you I'm going on vacation on Monday?" "No, really, where are you going?" "Oh, London for a few days, and then maybe Eastern Europe, Russia," my voice slid away, "Mongolia, and then China." "Man, that's not a vacation, that's a trip around the world. When are you coming back?" "Oh, in 2 months from now, late August." Silence. "Well," he said, "I guess we'll have to make the most of the night, won't we?" I let him love me for the night. We finished our cocktails. He thought I was joking about being drunk on 2 glasses of wine. He, of course, had no idea what the size of my stomach was or the fact that I hadn't drank in months. I'm not sure why I didn't think it was necessary to tell him about my trip before. Maybe because it was new, maybe because I was tired of being so open about my surgery. Maybe because there was something appealing about being with a man who just thought I was an attractive and intelligent woman, not broken. Maybe because Wayne and I had only gone out on a few dates. It seemed presumptuous to assume that we would jump back in where we left off when I returned, but we did. When I returned from traveling the world, we got together a couple of times that first couple of weeks. Up until that night, the question night, I hadn't understood why I continued dating this guy when I knew our relationship wasn't going anywhere. But at the moment, at that question moment, it came to me. He hadn't asked questions. He hadn't even commented on the fact that I'd lost another 30 or 35 pounds on my trip. There was a brief moment back in June when he pointed to my belly and asked, "Is that a scar?" When I told him it was, he seemed satisfied, and with that answer, no probing, no judgment, just an okie dokie. She's got a 10-inch scar rolling down her belly. Carry on. But that wasn't the case on this saucy Saturday, August night. "I thought so," he said. "No one loses that much weight in a week." Well, I haven't lost that much weight in a week, he cut me off, and your tits are smaller. I took his hand off my body, suddenly feeling very naked and very exposed. Well, do you have a problem with it? I just don't like it when people do the quick fix. It's just not normal. And I thought, what exactly is normal? If we have the ability and wherewithal to create a better quality of life for ourselves, whether it's through pacemakers, chemotherapy, public transportation, or gastric bypass surgery, shouldn't that redefine what is considered normal and natural? It's the same reason I don't have a microwave, Wayne continued. There's just a natural organic course in the universe, and you fucked with it. A microwave? I somehow have the ability to zap a burrito in 1 minute, huh? Wayne, I think you're making a lot of judgment calls about me right now, I said as I folded my hands across my chest, unconsciously hiding my scars. Can't you just diet and exercise, he asked. Diet and exercise? What a novel suggestion, Sir Wayne. I'm just so pleased I met you, you enlightened me, and of course I could try that. Do you really think I haven't tried that, I asked him. Well, I just don't understand why you don't diet and stuff if you hate your body. My body. It had been a love-hate relationship with my body. Oh, how many nights I spent on my knees praying to God and the universe to change me, to just make me normal, make me fit in. It's hard to be honest and admit that much self-hate. But are you one of those guys who only dates big girls, I asked. I've known many men with fat fetishes in my life. Men loved me when I was a big girl. Fat bottom girls make the rockin' world go round. Of course, I thought, he's disappointed because I wasn't a big, beautiful lady anymore. I was amazed I hadn't seen it coming. I guess in some ways I hadn't put myself in that big girl category for quite some time. I met him at least after 100 pounds was lost. And I was erasing the fat adjective. Nah, he said, I like all girls. It doesn't matter, but I like big titties. Okay. And mine are too small for you now? Now they're fine and all, it's just unnatural. It's the quick fix. You know, my doctor told me the other day that if I needed to lose, that I need to lose another 10 pounds. I've been out running every day and watching what I eat. Wow, I thought. I'd never thought of such a thing. You mean to tell me that if I exercise and watch what I eat, I too can please your doctor? Well, that's good for you. But every body is different, and I certainly have more than 10 pounds to lose. How many more are you going to lose? More than 10. No, for real, how many? More than 10, I repeated, and sat up, collected my things, snapping and buttoning, covering up again. After I walked out of his house for the last time, the things that really bothered me about the conversation were, number one, I knew a small part of what he said was true. Surgery is unnatural. There's something so unnerving that I had destroyed my body over the last 20 years of emotional eating and burying my core self in some bubble of denial, that any chance I had at losing weight the right way was gone. I wish I could have just dieted and exercised, and the weight would have magically evaporated into the universe. That is, in fact, a gorgeous idea. But the truth is I had gone too far. I was beyond a normal diet and exercise regime. The second thing that really bothered me about our conversation is the fact that I know, or I feel I'll have to have this kind of conversation with every single man that I become intimate with for the rest of my life. I really can't imagine that I would want to pursue a relationship with someone who wouldn't ask about it, but at what point in the relationship do you bring up that sort of thing? What other kinds of things do you need to disclose on a dating situation? At what point do I need to, if I need to, disclose my history of self-hate? Please don't ask me to. I'd stopped even attempting to date anyone after the Wayne microwave the burrito comment. I knew I was going through some pretty difficult changes, and I didn't feel settled. I needed that before I jumped into any kind of romantic relationship. But then I met Michelangelo. Michelangelo was dreamy. Tall, dark hair, intelligent, articulate. He didn't belong in real life, not my real life, at least. Prior to meeting Michelangelo, I attended a friend's birthday party, where a crowd of late 20, early 30-somethings dressed in disco and hired an old rickety yellow school bus to drive us to the suburbs. An old roller skating rink that we had rented out for the afternoon. I wore a short black vintage dress and 6-inch platform heels. I borrowed my roommate Jim's Christina Aguilera wig, painted my face with glitter, and sported a floor-length white fur coat. Our party bus ended up dropping us off at a bar in uptown Minneapolis, a place known for its skank appeal. I rarely frequented those places, even if I was much smaller, and the insults from the drunk guys had magically disappeared since returning from my Trans-Siberian trip. But dressed in disco gear, I met Michelangelo at one of these douchey bars. What in the world is a woman like you doing in a place like this? Michelangelo asked me, or the blonde Marilyn Monroe version of me. I know, I laughed. It's a long story. I could feel him looking at me. My cheeks began to tingle. I wasn't used to flirting. So, can I have another cigarette and prolong this conversation, he asked. Of course, I said, handing him a lighter. He was smart, sexy, an old soul with voracious vocabulary. He looked me in the eye when he spoke, and I could not look away. Lady Annette, may I have your number so we can call tomorrow, I can call you tomorrow? Michelangelo asked when my friend started pulling me out to the next bar. Yes, of course. Michelangelo and I met at a jazz bar a couple days later. This is more our scene, he commented, as he ordered both of us a glass of white wine and smiled. We nuzzled closer to each other and we listened to the da, diddly ding, bing, bing, biddly bat strings as they reverberated on the stand-up bass. After the first set, we crossed the street, entering the camping piano bar. Before our beverages arrived at our table, Michelangelo jumped on the mic and announced, I've recently met a girl. Well, it's new, but I want for her to be around for a long time. Before driving into his own version of Sinatra's I've Got You Under My Skin. As we left the bar, Michelangelo and I held hands. Floating down Hennepin Avenue, during the middle of a Minnesota blizzard, something below my ribcage burned tingly amber flames. Night after night, we went out, ending back at my place, listening to Bowie or Fleetwood Mac or Radiohead or whatever was playing on the record player in my dining room. We let the needle rub up against the record, and then we danced until the sun poked its head out on the horizon. My body had never, honestly never, felt so tender being wrapped in someone's arms. We finished each other's sentences, validated those awkward early 30 late-night phone calls, the ones that made us feel like we were 16 again. I don't know why I called. I know it's stupid, but I miss you. It's not stupid, I miss you too. Can I come over? Yeah, please do. And we danced. We always danced. One night after picking it up for work, we took off to one of Minneapolis's great old man drinking holes, the Monte Carlo. It's always been full of old souls, regulars who've been regulars since the 50s, slim martini glasses, sexy dark wood mahogany bar, a classy joint. The kind of place where people walked in and said cheesy things like, this is a classy joint, and then they're transformed. We ordered what had become our fare, a plate of oysters and glasses of white wine. We talked days and books, and then he turned to me and smiled, you are just beautiful. I couldn't remember the last time I had heard that. Don't take this wrong way, but do you ever wish you could change something about your body? I didn't answer. No, I mean, see, I have these ridiculously large cheeks. He pulled out his cheeks for added effect. I hadn't noticed them before. I've always hated my cheeks, he smiled at me playfully, and, he continued, I have really puffy nipples. I hadn't noticed, Michelangelo, but if either of those things really bother you, maybe you should do something about them. I tried to change the subject. Sports, arts, books, the weather, anything. No, seriously now, what about your body do you just hate? There has to be something. He continued carrying on a conversation with himself. Come on, everyone's got something they want to change, something they were born with, something that, you could fix with a surgery. Fuck. My inner dialogue was shooting signals to Mars. Not the time or place, but is he really giving me an open invitation to talk about this? I took a breath. So yeah, about a year ago, I had gastric bypass surgery. Silence. So I guess I kind of already did, change the thing I was unhappy about. I tried to fill in the silence between us. Well, he took a sip of wine. I guess you did. Even though we went back to my house and pretended everything was fine, that we were all okay with the evening story time session, I could cut a knife through the air. The next morning at one of my favorite French cafes, Michelangelo started in a rant I was pretty sure I saw coming before we had crawled into my king-size bed the night before. I never want to get married. I wouldn't get involved with me. I'm in a volatile state right now. Blah, blah, blah. It's not you, it's me. Thanks for your honesty, I said, before I dropped him off at his place, barely finishing my eggs Benedict. It's good to know that up front. And I drove away knowing what not to talk about anymore. Thanks.